So I own a rental that I really struggle with. Where do I spend my money? And this would match up to anybody who is at home or someone who's in business, and it really goes anywhere. I struggle with, do I do the job myself, save some money? If I need special tools, how much does it cost me to buy those tools compared to what it costs me to get that job done? And can I use those tools in the future? Or can I make more money doing something else than it would be to hire that person? And in this case, I got a quote to take down 3 trees. It was $3,000. Now these are some pretty large pine trees, and while we were taking down the 3rd tree, my buddy who came over just to help me get that one down so it didn't hit the building said, "You're cheap, you should have hired this out." While I don't disagree with him in some senses, $3,000 is a lot of money, and all I had to do was drive an hour to get some of my equipment, come back, and I spent the rest of the day basically tearing things down, cutting the trees up, hauling them away. Now I'm also lucky to have a place to take the trees and dump them, and we'll use them for rabbit habitat in the future. So it works out quite well for me. But in this case, I think you can just look at what we're doing and say, okay, what would you do? That comment of, hey, you're being a little cheap here, you should have hired this one out, really kind of struck with me, especially as we cleaned this stuff up. I have a mini skid steer. I rented a dump trailer just because it was easier for me to do so than driving around to get mine. So made sense. $150 in the dump trailer, and I was able to use the mini skid steer to load up all the heavy stuff. I know a lot of people out there are gonna say, hey, you're being lazy. Well, dude, these logs were 26 inches around, and in some cases they made the mini skid steer kind of tip a little bit as you were picking some of them up. So we're talking about 700-800 pound logs. You could have cut them up 7-8 times just to get them in the trailer. Much easier with the mini skid steer. And hey, in this case, I'm saving a lot of money, so why not use the tools and equipment that I have? That is kind of where this all came around to. I like to collect equipment, I like to collect tools, and I like to use them, but you have to have the job to do so. And if you don't do anything yourself, you're never going to use the tools, and they're going to sit in the garage, and that's going to be pretty pointless. So why hire something out like this when it would take 12 hours to take down these trees, haul everything away, and then clean up? I guess in that case, I really started thinking. I work for myself, I have my own business, multiple different areas that I make money in, and I thought, okay, you know, it is slow right now in a couple areas where I usually would make my money, and I thought, I have a day, let's get this done. It happened to be a very nice day, and it was a great day to be outside, so it worked out. I actually wouldn't have made the amount of money that it took me to, or would take me to pay someone to take these trees out, and I was able to do this for about $250 with fuel and, you know, the rental included. So I saved a ton of money. Where is that line though? Because how much liability are you taking on if something happens? Obviously with trees, it's an interesting one because you could drop a tree and it might go the wrong direction, especially with the wrong wind, and you end up with paying more than if you would have just to do something. So while I'm doing this job, I'm gonna make a video and ask you guys, where is that line? Where do you go, you know what, I'm not doing this job because of this, that, or the other? And I'd really appreciate it if you would leave that in the comments, because it's one of those things I struggle with. I like to take on way too much. I'll work 12, 14-hour days just to simply have a hustle, get it done, and know at the end of the day I feel satisfied because I did something myself and I did it the way I wanted to do it, rather than hiring it out to somebody and then still coming back and maybe doing it a little bit better or fixing things up that they didn't do the way I exactly wanted them to, or that I would do at my own house, my own rental, my own business. That is something these days that I always find hard. Is there a company I can hire that's going to do things the way that I would do them so that I'm happy with the amount of money that I'm paying them? Nothing is inexpensive these days, nothing. And that is what makes it hard. So for me, collecting equipment, collecting the tools to do these jobs, and saving the money there, but having the money and equipment makes sense. Now the maintenance, what if something broke? That would suck. And you could easily go way over the cost of something if you're doing it yourself, if you broke something. And that's why I'm curious where that line is. So if you guys could comment below, tell me where that line is. What would you do? What would you think of? What's your rule as to do it yourself or hire someone out? Interested to hear those comments. Give us a like in this video. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.